Hi there. I'd just like to talk through with you for a couple of minutes about SMART goals and also about how this aligns to really making them meaningful by using and integrating it with the pump methodology for performance measurement. So let's think about SMART. Typically, these goals are put out as being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely, which is how, in the majority of cases that I've seen them, that's how they're used. They've got a background going back into the last century for 20 or 30 years, or 40 years, I guess, a bit longer, where they've been researched by a couple of North American academic psychologists. And they're really curious about goal setting and motivation. But what made SMART really useful and really important was that Jack Welch, who was the CEO for General Electric for 20 or 30 years, and he used this process. And he used this method to set goals with his managers, and through a process, they achieved goals that they believed that was the success of the organization during that period of time. The key thing was that during that time, the T actually stood for timeline, not timely. Most times people get a goal and they go, let's make it specific and measurable, achievable, realistic maybe, and then what we'll do is we'll put a date on it. We'll have it done by the 30th of June, or it's got to be done, typically we just stick a date on it and call it achievable or a SMART goal. It's really about building a timeline, and that was the key thing that made it a successful approach for GE and Jack Welch and his management team. Is because what they did was they set the goal and then they met regularly to discuss the timeline and the plan towards achieving the goal. So the first thing we need to do when we're looking at SMART is recognize that we've got to make sure that the T stands for a timeline. So when it comes then to looking at specific and measurable, when we use the pump approach, we use step 2, and we ensure that we come up with a set of results or outcomes that are specific and measurable. And when we use the results mapping technique in pump, it gives us a cause and effect flow. Cause and effect leading to the goals that are ultimately in the center of that map. But we're going to focus on one of them here, which is our customers get the product when they need it and customers value our service. It contributes in that way. So this is a result and or an outcome. Each one of the things on the results map are results or outcomes. So we've got a specific and measurable thing now in our organization. So then what we do is we've got to try and figure out, let's design and select performance measures for it. And within pump, we use step 3 for that. And once we've got a baseline of performance, which is we need 5 measure values for it, we can then add a target if we want to, for focus, and that's in step 6 of pump. So that is illustrated here, where we have customer delivery time in days, and we've got the measure value per month tracked through here. Now this gives us then an average, on average, the customer delivery time for this B2B company is 19 days. Setting a target on it then is the 10-day target out here. Using these XMR type charts, it allows us to get what is current performance doing, where do we want to be, and then we build the timeline or the plan about how to get there. So whether that's a sensible target or not, but it's a target in the way that we're setting it sensibly in terms of we understand the current level of performance rather than just setting targets willy-nilly as we often do. So then the next part of it is to build that timeline or that plan. And that's really about how we can build a progress plan, making progress towards an outcome. How will we get there? What do we need to change? So we do the analysis of current problems. We develop specific solutions. And through that plan, then we will prioritize what to implement first. Understand how that's working by using our measure and our outcomes and checking the impact of those outcomes on the performance measures and on the results. Anyway, for your goals to be literally SMART, we need to have specific and measurable goals. And when we get clear about it, we can use step 2 of pump. that allows us, and the techniques in step 2 allows us to figure out what those specific and measurable outcomes or results are. Then we can design performance measures for those outcomes. Then when we have those measures, we've got this realistic and measurable approach. Then we're setting targets. And it's realistic because we actually understand the current level of performance. When we understand the current level, we know or can set the targets based on that knowledge rather than just guessing. And then we build the plan. And the decision-making becomes evidence-based because the plan is then provided feedback through the performance measures about the outcome. And having that structure will make your goals really smart. Anyway, I hope this has been of value, and thanks for watching.